thing at the end to make sure that they were on track. Like how it says that they can have like misleading answers if they don't know what they're arguing. Things like that.
Thank you. What else? Do you know that it has been proven that students come into your classroom already knowing 40% of what you were going to teach? 40%. So if you're not giving them guidance, that 40% could be gone the evil side or the good side. That's kind of a scary number to me. When I read that, I was like, oh no, there's no way. And then I think about, my stupid question book. Yes, I had a stupid question book, and students do have stupid questions. And a student started my stupid question book, and they want to know things, but it's not always the right things. So oh, hey, there it is. Okay. Woo! All right. Inquiry, let's talk about this. What are the characteristics? Inquiry teaching is a process. Just like was stated, they're not going to be perfect at it right away. But if we start them with the process in kindergarten and first grade, by the time they hit the high school, they should be really good at asking good questions, at using their evidence, at finding the right sources, okay? It is process rather than content oriented. It is conceptual instead of factual. So in other words, what are those big, broad concepts? Okay, again, if it can be Googled or Siri, in our age right now, let it go. Or put it into a short PowerPoint to give them the bare basics. And I'm talking more about upper, the 4th, 5th grade on up, okay? They have to have some factual basis. And I know that, okay? So hear me say that. It is student-centered, not teacher-centered, but it is student-centered with a lot of scaffolding. A lot of scaffolding. It is active, not passive. So again, you have those classrooms. It's not a classroom of Bueller. It is a classroom of thinking and organized chaos and discussion and debate. Inquiry teaching does not treat content as an end, but rather uses it to accomplish a purpose that has much more significance. Okay? How does argumentation help our democracy? The basis and the point of every single inquiry is an argument. Every single one is an argument. You are arguing about something. Okay? Beyond subject matter understanding, students learn important citizenship skills. Think about this. How many of you have had classrooms where you're like, gosh, I wish they had some manners, or gosh, I wish they knew how to argue civilly. We have lost the piece of civic engagement in our society right now. It's depressing, okay? We need to regain that, and the way we're going to do that is by teaching kids how to argue in a democratic society, not just how to argue, because kids know how to argue all day long. Okay? Anybody with teenagers knows that. And maybe even down to 4th and 5th grade. Okay? The idea is not only construct arguments, but to consider the arguments of others and weigh those to see how they fall within our own thinking. How do they line up? How do they move? How do they change my thinking into something else, or how can I change their thinking into something else? We're entering a major election year with lots of things going on in the state of Kentucky. And this is going to be more important than ever as that election rolls forward. Okay? It's not about making somebody think my way because I want to win. It's about having the discussion. Okay? And argumentation, this idea of argumentation as the inquiry presents it, allows us to help train students how to do it. It's not a skill that we can do just off the cuff unless like that is your superpower. Because I know I can't. There are times when I just need to shut my mouth. So, keep that in mind. All right. So I have this both digitally and in person. This is a blank inquiry form. It's got a front and a back to it. This is on the website. Now let me explain to you the elements of a blueprint. A blueprint is meant to be one page. This is not meant to be a lesson plan. So hear me clearly with this. This is a blueprint because someone may teach it this way and use these instructional strategies, and their content partner may teach it a completely different way. But the tasks are the same, the outcomes are the same, the resources are the same. So you have a common blueprint, all right? There are a lot of moving pieces in this blueprint. But the main pieces are questions, right here, tasks, here and here, and sources. Okay? So when you start looking at the blueprint, you can see where those line up. The next sheet that you have in there is at a glance. So if you're not sure exactly what this is, and you don't want to buy the book that explains what each and every piece is, this is the first book. This is the very first book that Kathy Swan wrote. This is it in a nutshell, right here. So I appreciate her putting this on the website. Then I've got several templates for you following that, just so you can kind of see what all it entails. But what I want you to know is that there's a very specific design path, and I do have this handout in your sheet. And I'm not sure where it is. It should be next, shouldn't it? It looks like this. Oh, it's two more down, sorry. We are not ready to design our own inquiries. So, first of all, hear me say that very clearly. We're not ready for it. If you get ambitious and decide you want to, have at it. But this is a roadmap to success. You have to frame the inquiry first. What that means is you've got to find the right content angle. What do you think that your kids care about? So, just off the top of your head, what do kids care about today? Social media, great. Themselves. Thank you. Yes. What else? Their friends, okay? What else? You think they care about fairness? Is something fair? How many of you have heard a student say, but that's not fair? Justice? You know, unfortunately, we have a lot of kids who have very first-hand knowledge of the legal system here in Lincoln County, whether it is a parent, a grandparent, relative, or even, you know, unfortunately themselves. Those are things that they care about. So find an angle that includes something they care about, okay? You want to craft a compelling question that's actually compelling. In other words, that they care about. Why do we have rules? Could you use that at any grade level? Could you use that for any content area? Or any era? Yeah. Because rules change, don't they? Depending on who's in power. I'm thinking about, you know, World War II, World War I, Civil War, Reconstruction, colonial times. Okay? You also have to stress test the compelling question. And what I mean by that, and that's on the back side of that template, you need to write down your argument frames. Okay? If you only find you have 2 ways you can answer that compelling question, it's not compelling. You want 3 or 4. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that in just a few minutes, okay? Phase 2 is filling it. This is the meat. This is your content meat. This is where you drive the instruction. And you do that with supporting questions. Your supporting questions are your questions that drive your instruction. That's where they get that content foundation in order to answer the compelling question. Okay? You have to build their knowledge through what's called performance tasks. These are measurable. This is where you can see if your kids got it or not. Your performance tasks could turn into formative assessments if that's how you want to frame your inquiry. And then finally, you finish it. You have to stage the compelling question. And when I say stage, that's kind of like your hook. You don't just throw kids into a compelling question. You got to have them understand what it is you're asking them to do and why should they care about it. So you could use a picture, an advertisement, and act it out. You may have them do a whole simulation of some kind before you even present the compelling question. That's up to you instructionally. You also have your argumentative task. You have an extension for kids who want to do more or need to do more. Think about your GT kids. You could also include in here an extra scaffold for students who need built-in RTI. And this taking informed action, this idea of now that I've learned something about this compelling question I care about, what am I going to do with it? Not y'all. Y'all have done your work. You've gone to school. You've done